Oh, I know it. Santa Claus is coming down.
Okay. And welcome back to yet another one of our cartridge talks. Yes, Jim, we're going with your intro right there.
We didn't even get the countdown yet.
Oh, cripes. He's probably Ryan, are you recording right now?
We're going.
Yeah, we're going.
Okay.
We can skip.
You're welcome.
Start. Fine. We won't even do that one. We'll do Ryan.
There's no rewinds. It's. We're already going. No. Ryan, MC Ryan holds the keys.
We're not going to start this one
I'll
off
own
this
up
rough.
to that one.
We're not going to start this one off that rough.
About 5.5 minutes trying to figure out what Christmas song to sing, and I took the bullet for you.
Ryan,
Mark wrote a song. It's really good, and I heard it last night.
We can
and
talk
he will
about
sing
these
it.
things later
roadkill.
after Ryan starts the clock over.
We're not starting over.
People don't want to hear all this.
I want to jump into the intro, and
yeah.
we're going to just start this if we don't just start this.
Ryan,
all
you
right,
start it.
Fine.
Yeah,
No, I'm going to start. I'm going to paint a picture.
Okay, you're the captain, finally.
The hell's that supposed to mean?
Ladies and gentlemen of the Vortex Nation, welcome to today's holiday cartridge episode, in which we are going to highlight the new, long-awaited 7mm PRC from our friends at Hornady. Mark, what can you tell us about this cartridge?
Ryan, the year is 2022. People are looking for a solution to a problem. That problem, finding the perfect 7mm cartridge to suit all their 7mm needs for big game and long-range precision.
Because we all know it's not the 7mm mag.
God, no.
Well, so that was going to be part of my intro. Are we finally going to get Ryan to like a 7? But you like the 708, right? You like the 708.
I own a 280 Ackley.
So it's just the 7 mag that you don't like.
Yeah.
God, you're making people mad again. Gosh, I should say.
That's right. It's Christmas.
Holiday cartridge talk.
Family show.
Ryan, the more I read about this cartridge, the more I like it. A lot.
It's an impressive piece.
It seems like it was the missing link in the PRC family. So we started with the chicken or the egg here. Yeah, we've got the PRC family here. 6.5 PRC, 300 PRC,
big one,
and then we got Goldilocks in the middle here, the 7 PRC.
Certainly.
This thing does a lot of things really well, I feel.
It is an intelligent cartridge.
I think that's what happened here. You took the these high BC 7mm bullets, and again, we're kind of bridging that gap of not bridging the gap, but you're combining long range precision with hunting effectiveness, right? Or you're making a cartridge that does both very well, kind of double duty, and you're doing it in a package that's going to be a standard length action.
Yes.
Why did it take a while to get to 7? Don't they just go into SolidWorks when they're designing the cartridge and just click the little grabby dots and just drag the cartridge a little bit longer and make the hole a little wider for a 7mm bullet and whammo?
I'm sure
if they already had the PRC.
I'm sure if we chat with the fellas at Hornady, they'll have a little different iteration of that story, but it's probably not far off. No, I'm just kidding. So I think it's a really cool cartridge. To just state that outright. And I understand kind of where they were going with it, and I think they nailed it. So if we look at the 3 on the table, the 6.5 PRC bracketing the 7, and then the 300 on the far left here. The 300, which we've talked about before, is an intercontinental ballistic missile from a performance standpoint. That's a 212 grain ELDX at nearly 2,900 feet per second. Bonkers ballistic coefficient, bonkers payload from a mass standpoint at a bonkers velocity. The 6.5 PRC, this is 142. This is actually nozzle loading, 140 grain ballistic tip, at 2,900 feet per second.
That's Cooper's. He shot his buck with that this year. Killed it dead.
Yep. A notable boost over the 6.5 Creedmoor performance, which is also a Hornady cartridge. You're packing on several hundred feet per second of capability there. But the 7, which is not remarkably larger than the 6.5, is, I think, really capturing the best of both worlds from a payload and ballistic standpoint, and then a manageable standpoint from like the inherent shootability of the 6.5 PRC. This is a 175 grain ELDX, so a bullet designed specifically around this case. Crazy BC, G1 of 0.689 at a muzzle velocity of 3 grand. So you now have a lot of the flight characteristics, and arguably some better than the 300 PRC, with the shootability similar to that of the 6.5 PRC, bundled together into a tamer yet no less ferocious cartridge.
I mean, Mark was right. It's Goldilocks.
It is. I think so, yeah.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Or continue, and then I have a question.
Well, no, I'm just going to say that as I look at these cartridges, and as we've talked to the fellas at Hornady before, the design intent around the cartridge is not simply pushing a bullet at a given velocity. It's like intelligent case design, and exploitation of case capacity, and then pairing with a really remarkable projectile to get the most out of what you can get in the package without going crazy on the rifle.
So with that
Yep.
in mind, right, it's not like this is like, oh my gosh, this is the fastest, right? Because I think it's comparable. I mean, it might be faster, but it's like not that different than a 7 rim mag, right, as far as just velocity.
Right. If you're looking at mass and you're looking at velocity, these are attainable with some of the other 7s that currently exist or have existed before it, but in like different context. So the other 7s that exist currently and have existed before it don't push that projectile
Right.
at that velocity with that
Like
power
a
charge.
heavier high BC bullet.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
And so there should be a huge distinction made between a 175 grain round nose 7mm design and a bonkers high BC 175 grain super aerodynamic projectile.
Now, where, like, so, you know, the 7 rim mag been around for years. People love it,
A long time.
right? Is this kind of like some cartridges we see these days, if you're going to compare the 7 PRC to the 7 rim mag, where it begins to separate kind of like that, 500-yard mark and beyond, as far as like that's what really sets it apart in performance? Or is it like dramatically better all the way through?
I think it's dramatically better all the way through because now this is a turnkey option. So if you wanted to exploit what the 7 Rem Mag could do with the same setup, it's not a turnkey factory rifle. So that's a big thing. You could probably get a 7 Rem Mag to do just about all that can do, and be very, very close to on par. But you're going to be making some considerations to how the rifle's built, how the rifle's configured, a lot of other stuff that is not necessarily easy or cost efficient. Hornady designed this to be out of the box, ready to party. And the rifle manufacturers that are now rolling it out. And I think they did a brilliant job of like a tandem release cartridge and rifle availability.
What kind of rifles we got for it?
Many of the major manufacturers that we're aware of now.
Nice.
So, and I've seen a lot of builder barrels coming out, ready to go. So some of the pre-fit options that are out there now in 7 PRC.
That's cool. I do like that when they make it easy right off the bat.
Yep. And I think that was a very, very smooth move. And it's going to certainly, I think, just benefit the shooter all around.
With the very, efficient, thoughtful case design, it sounds like the rifles that are chambered for this are also like very tight toleranced from what I'm hearing as far as
Like their chamber dimensions?
yes.
Hornady's chamber design stuff. And it's real. And it's not just a marketing thing, I don't think. I think if you build a gun with the way that they intend chambers to be laid out, it's probably going to shoot really good.
That's what I was hearing. Like, that's
Yeah.
where some of the accuracy is coming from. It's like you have this, essentially chamber that's designed around the cartridge. I guess they all are, right? But, like very...
Intelligent, thoughtful.
Yes.
What do you? I guess I'm curious. I just always assumed every time a cartridge came out that all the rifle manufacturers would want to design their chambers to the specifications of the ammo manufacturer who designed the cartridge? Like, is there some sort of magical sauce that they put into the cartridge design and then that they had to have this really specific chamber design to make it work together or something that hasn't been done in other cartridges?
Let's look at a 243 Winchester, for instance.
Sure.
You're going to shoot a 100 grain soft point. It's a pretty standard load. Most of the chambers that you're going to get in a factory available rifle are not optimized for shooting high BC, long profile projectiles. And with that, a lot of the twist rates aren't right necessarily for accommodating those profiles. Hornady, because they make these high BC bullets in the ELD, ELDX, BTHP, and now the new CX designs, are accommodating that out of the box in their chamber design. So when they're like, hey, make a chamber to this print, it's going to accommodate their bullet palette.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And the shooter is going to have the ability to shoot a match profile bullet in the same rifle as they would something like the CX, which is this bonkers, crazy, homogeneous bullet design that everybody knows that I love. That solid copper alloy bullet that's super tough, crazy penetration.
Okay.
Like essentially, like by almost default, you're getting like a match grade chamber.
Yep. And a match grade rifle with match grade ammunition that has,
and also modern.
Yeah.
I guess because it used to be that when you think hunting ammo, you're like, you wouldn't really think of this really pointy match grade stuff.
No,
you'd think of that.
That wasn't that long
nose.
ago. You're exposed lead.
Yeah, exactly.
Which still works famously today.
Sure.
Right. But this is, a cartridge that's designed to be, like I said, it really bridges that long range precision and practical hunting. And then also hey, as we talk about a lot, people are interested in extending their effective hunting range, being more comfortable and confident at those longer distances.
Yep.
Another thing I like about this thing is it doesn't have that bonkers velocity. So if you do want to bang away with a little bit more, you're not necessarily burning out your barrel. Like, it's fast. Like, it's really fast, but it's not like
obscene.
Overly. Or I shouldn't say overly, because like the 28 Nosler, I think that's a great cartridge. I like it a lot, but I'm not going to use it for the same. Okay.
You're not going to recreationally shoot it.
There you nailed it.
Where you have an opportunity to do so and get away with a probably longer barrel life.
The 28 Schnoz is like a drag car.
All
like
gas,
you only
no
take it
brakes.
to the drag strip.
Yep.
And otherwise it just rides on a trailer.
Yep.
Do you think people?
And it's going to do that job really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you think people are going to shoot the 7 PRC at long range a lot? Like that. I'm not asking that in a way to bash it, but I'm wondering. Like, are there a lot of people out there who you think are going to be buying? They're like, okay, I only want to get one gun, and I want one gun to do everything, and therefore, bingo, 7 PRC? Or, like, are people going to be setting out like, all right, I'm looking for exactly what that cartridge has? Like, is its beauty in just the fact that, like, it's sort of a chameleon?
I think so.
Yeah.
I absolutely think so. And with the factory loaded options, I think it has the ability to satiate both crowds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, more so than, a lot of guys, Mark, I'm thinking you and I shot PRS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most guys now, it seems, are trying to go, they were at like 6.5 and 308, and then now they've gone down to 6 Creed. So that's kind of like that competition crowd I get, maybe a little different.
Save for PRS.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to do, I think, sometimes some other things. Minimal recoil. We want to watch trace.
Yeah.
We want to be in total control of the situation at all times and not let things like recoil affect us. And we want to be able to watch our bullet flying in the air. Different game. But if you wanted to go shoot a mile, that.
More so than that.
No, I still think you can do this, but you're getting into a pretty big rig with a 300 PRC.
Mm-hmm.
There's some action accommodations that need to be made in certain rifles. There is a notable amount more recoil. We're just burning more powder and we're pushing a heavier projectile. And it may be towing the line of uncomfortable for some folks. Whereas I think the 7 is kind of that nice, happy medium.
It is kind of a sweet spot of doing a lot of things really good. And I think you nailed it when you said recreational shooting. Like, I think shooting long range is fun. I want to go out and set up, a target array and shoot at, whatever, 5, 6, 7,000 yards beyond, right?
But not for like a competition where there's hundreds of other people there in the same day and everyone's trying to get first place.
Yeah, and I still think the gaming cartridges like 6 Dasher, 6 GT, BRX, 6 Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah.
That's your high volume match competition cartridge. The 7 is a great blend. You can go get some high volume use out of it, and it's your hunting rig.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a short fat case. And speaking of the case, because that case is larger diameter than the regular 7, right?
No. Well, depends on where we're measuring from.
Like here.
Yeah, it's got a modern square profile to it, minimal taper. It's Hornady's 375 Ruger case. That's super versatile and flexible. Obviously, shares here at the 6.5 PRC, the 7 PRC, the 300 PRC, the 375 Ruger, the 416 Ruger. It's a super modern case. We've exempted the belt.
Yeah,
we've eliminated body taper.
That's better for reloading, right? No belt.
Yep.
Why is that?
It's just an unnecessary thing in modern times. We're not controlling headspace like we were. We don't necessarily need it from like a strength deal. It's a vestigial trait that carried over for a long time. Doesn't necessarily need to be there. Modern shoulder, intelligent neck. We're letting the neck hold the bullet as we should. We're not eking into the powder capacity that we would in a factory. So something very important, 3.340 COAL on that. So we're at about the same COAL as we are with a 300 Win mag or a 7 Rem mag, but we're exploiting the internal powder capacity of the case, and we're letting the bullet hang out.
I was going to say, the bullet's not pushed down into the case.
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope. So we're using the case to do its job, and we're letting the bullet do its thing, and then the neck is holding it all together, and it's great. It's a modern cartridge.
Well, and you probably don't need a super long barrel to
Nope.
maximize the powder burn, right?
Nope.
That's nice.
Yep.
I like
So
that.
we're getting away from this big giant form factor and long range guns, and able to step into more compact, portable.
Much excite.
Yeah.
Well,
I got another.
do it.
So it might be a little bit of foreshadowing here on one of our future holiday cartridge talks here. But you look at these, like I said, we got the PRC family here, and it's almost like stair steps in height, right? But then you look at, say, like a 6.5 Creed or a 6 Creed, and it's just like neck down. Like these aren't just like necked up and down, which I find interesting because sometimes you'll see that it's like, oh, it's the this, but we just either make neck bigger,
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Make neck smaller diameter, but these are all different.
Yep. So there was a Wildcat that existed on the 7 300 PRC or 7 LRM, if you want to call it that. A lot of horsepower.
Yeah.
Maybe too much. Debatable, right? To each their own. There was a Wildcat that was 6.5 PRC. Maybe not enough. So this is that happy medium.
I gotta ask. I asked this question, I feel like, before on a different podcast in just a different way, but okay, as very avid hunters, you two, I'm more of the casual hunter than you two are. But what is it? Like what game species, or is there some distance level or something like that where you're like, oh, okay, now I have unlocked this category of things that I can hunt or ways that I can hunt by jumping up to the 7 PRC over the 6.5 PRC? Because we have people discuss all the time the things that they've done with 6.5 rounds, Creedmoors even, which is even a little bit less snoozed up than the 6.5 PRC. So what do you think that is? I wouldn't do it with a 6.5 PRC, but that 7, I tell you what, now I've unlocked.
I think you do, because you're with these two loads, you're adding 35 grains of mass, which is not insignificant.
No, not at all.
And you're adding 100 feet per second, which is significant, plus that 35 grains of mass. I think this is an everything thing.
An everything thing?
Yep.
So anything on North America?
Yeah, and I think you could do that with a 6.5 PRC and the right bullet, and I think you could probably do that with a 6.5 Creedmoor and the right bullet. Would it be personally my first choice? No.
You're buying yourself a little bit of
Insurance.
insurance.
Yeah, and when
this.
paired, if like you take the 160CX loading in the 7 PRC, that's a moose, elk, caribou, mule deer, pronghorn, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no question about it. I still think you could do it with the CX loading in something like a PRC.
Yeah.
I think that I would sleep a little sounder with the 7.
I suppose if it's still so comfortable to shoot, you just think to yourself, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
I just think it hits a sweet spot. It's almost like, oh God, okay, is this going to be a stupid comparison? But like the 308, right?
Mhm.
It just kind of does a lot of things really well.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a 7mm long range 308 in my.
I know
It's
where
like-
I know where you're coming from.
I know it's a stretch. Don't look at the numbers. Don't do this. Just like in like a practicality
makes you
world.
feel.
Is it-
It does
is
make
it-
me feel like
Is
that.
it the most versatile 7? Is that the question you're asking?
That's where I'm going.
I think
probably.
all things considered, with the factory options in ammunition and rifle, what we've now come to see with anything that the ballisticians and engineers at Hornady produce from a consistency standpoint, that part is all good. When we look at what the cartridge is capable of, on the low end, on the high end, and whether that is measured in terms of yards or weight of game we're hunting, I would say yes.
Mhm.
Without having to make crazy considerations. Like I have a 280 AI, which is not remarkably different than this from a performance standpoint. I have to load it. I have to load it. I had to have the rifle built, and I had to goof around with stuff, special dies, special loading practices to get the performance that I want out of it. And I'm happy as a clam with it. I think it's a really cool gun. But this is a turnkey option. And I think that says a lot.
Rifles generally featuring like a 1-7, 1-8 twist with this gun?
Faster twist, probably. I'm not looking for one actively, so I'd probably say 1-8, 1-9 at the slowest twist.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Now, another cartridge we've talked about that when I was looking at the numbers, very close, right? And then you could say from a practicality perspective for hunting,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say your general hunting distances, which I'll define. I don't know. I'm not defining a yardage, but I'll just throw this out. 600 yards and in. The 6.8 Western.
Sure.
Which is very, like, I think by the numbers, the 7 PRC beats it.
Yep.
But I also really like that cartridge as well for how I would use it from a hunting perspective.
Did that one take off quite a lot? I didn't pay a lot of attention after we did.
I think it
is 6.8 the next 6.5.
I think it does pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People getting that.
I have not had a lot of folks reaching out with it. And that was kind of a thing, too, that cartridge came out in a very tough spot.
Tough time.
Did really hard time.
Yep. And an unforeseeable thing. I still think it's a fine cartridge. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. That's
Fine.
what I think.
This is fine.
I like it because it looks like a 7 short mag.
It was the
Oh my gosh.
it was the upgrade that the 270 Wisdom needed.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
I think that is an accurate statement.
I'm
That's
on
good one, Mark.
I'm on Hornady's
That's a good
website right
one.
now, and I'm looking at the factory gun makers currently offering.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So from
Holy list.
yeah. So outside of the custom builders or the semi-custom builders, Mossberg, Remington Savage, Ruger coming quickly,
You know
Springfield
Ruger's in
Armory.
there.
Yeah.
Tika?
Not yet.
Oh,
I hope they do. You know, I'm a fan of the Tika.
I do.
Yeah, I was
do
looking
know
at that earlier as well. You'll see, at least right now. Okay, press time.
Yep.
Yeah, Tika and Browning, which I could see Browning because they
Yeah,
have the
Of course.
6.8
6.8
Westy.
Western.
Yep.
Um,
So here's a compare and contrast. The muzzle velocity of the 160 grain CX projectile out of the PRC is $3,000. I can shoot, and this is just posted velocities, a similar weight bullet that's a little bit different in profile. So that 160 CX is going to be a pretty long bullet. I could probably get it going out of my Ackley without going super hot rod at around 27 to 2800. So
Wow.
the PRC is going to pick up probably 100 to 200 feet per second or more.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And you don't have to reload it.
Yep, and it's going to be the same COAL, and this is a turnkey option.
I think you're just getting long range. You're getting long range precision and guns that are built for you're getting a lot of precision here and long range efficiency.
It's in the name.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the name and successful, like I feel like that will play handily into the success of this cartridge.
It's got a nice ring to it.
The 6.5 PRC did great. The 300 PRC did great. This is, the next one in the lineup. It's right in the middle. Mm-hmm. It's got a pretty darn good springboard to jump off of.
Yes.
And Hornady does a great job.
Every time.
I mean, so they've gained a lot of well-deserved trust.
Yes.
In there as well.
Yes.
So
there's a sweetheart in every lineup of products. That might be the one in the PRC. And interestingly enough, it's the latter coming onto the scene.
Well, does that wrap it up?
I mean, I'd say we definitely we left 10 minutes in the dust, but yeah.
Perfect. Just how I like it. Well, let's talk to the folks out there, the audience. Number one, thanks for listening. Number two, do you have one of these already? Have you been shooting it? Are you thinking about getting it? Are you going to replace your current 7 because this 7 is better? Theoretically. Not even theoretically. I mean, look at the numbers.
I think
it is better. It's better. I was trying to pad it.
You're so nice. You're so nice.
Is it better enough to make you go, man, I want that?
I think if you had a 7 Rem Mag and you were looking to step it into the 21st century, this is what you do.
Okay, let's get our crystal balls out now, Ryan. Do you think with the success of the other PRCs, right, the introduction of this one, are you going to see people who want to shoot a 7mm bullet? Like, do you think you'll see the 7 Rem Mag fall off in popularity? Do you think you'll see the other 7s fall off and this one just be like, yeah, that if you want to get a 7, get that one?
I believe that this will have the same effect on the 7mm Remington Magnum as the 6.5 Creedmoor did on the 260 Remington.
Ooh, woof. The
Brian,
260 Remington was way less established than the 7 Remington was, though.
Yet, I believe the outcome will be the same.
You think it'll be a death sentence?
Think about all those 7 Rem Mag guns that are out there.
I mean,
sure.
I feel like that's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think they'll continue to do what they do.
Circulate.
Yeah, but I think that with the palette that's currently available from Hornady, and I'm sure other ammunition manufacturers are going to follow suit, and I think more rifle manufacturers are going to follow suit. I think that the old 7 Rem Mag might be slowing up a little bit.
You going to get rid of your 280 AI and get one of these?
He's invested.
Well, that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. If I would go back in time and I knew that this cartridge was going to roll off the production line, probably would have made a different consideration.
There you have it.
But I don't think I'll replace it. But I think this spells the end for.
Jeez, harsh.
I should say the end in favor.
I love it.
The end in favor.
I love
those
it.
guns are going to continue on working famously in perpetuity. But I think that there's a new 7 in town.
I think there's a new 7 in town, but I also think that, like, for how most people are using, like, their 7 Rem Mag, they wouldn't see a major difference, like, in practical performance of how they're using that rifle.
Correct.
That one's still better. All right.
This is a Midwestern goodbye.
Yep. Thanks everybody for listening. Happy holidays. Like we said, let's chat a little 7 PRC. Let us know your thoughts on it. And until next time, we'll catch you on the next one.
Merry Crisis.
Merry Chrysler. See ya.
Bye.